Welcome, everyone. This is Ready, Set Reiki, a podcast about Reiki, the universal energy life force from the curious beginner to the seasoned master teacher, welcoming all systems, all lineages, all levels. Reiki is a journey and not a destination. And on this Ready, Set Reiki journey, I refer to myself as a guide rather than host. So I am your guide, Tracy Searight. And today, worlds collide. We are having a podcast-a-thon. So I am being joined with my buddy, my friend in yoga and Reiki. Rose is here. Chat off the mat is in the house. So I'm going to pass it over to her so that she can introduce herself. So all of you wonderful listeners can hear her wonderful words of wisdom.
Thank you, Tracy. I love being here with you. This is, one of my favorite things, and our energy is always together, even when we're apart. So thank you for inviting me on here to collaborate. As Tracy mentioned, I'm the host of a podcast called Chat Off the Mat, and it means the yoga mat, not the wrestling mat, like some people have thought, but that's what it is. And Tracy's been a guest, and we just like to collaborate once in a while. So I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me. Oh, where'd you go? There you are. All right. So what do we want to talk about today? Spring?
Well, spring has actually sprung. How wonderful here. But you know what? Spring doesn't really feel so springy here in El Paso. We had a big storm here, windstorm, gusts of wind. It was crazy. So certainly miss spring here.
Well, that's funny you should mention wind, because wind is the element of spring. So there's a lot of, we could talk about spring in so many levels. As far as energy, we'll talk about energy. But in the spring, we have the wood element. We have the wood element represents growth and changes. There's the element of wind that is involved. But I want to talk a little bit about traditional Chinese medicine and how we need to embrace changes. Even if you're in El Paso and it's 100 degrees and it may not feel like spring, that energy is still there. So right now with my students, I'm teaching them how to embrace this energy, plant new seeds, and grow, but not too much. I don't know about you, Tracy, but sometimes I feel like I can do everything, right? So I'm piling on the projects and I'm like doing everything and talking to everybody, but then that's like a lot of wood. Then you can't see through the wood. Right. So we need to cut back. So we need to really be mindful about some of the stuff that we bring onto our plate. Right. What do you think?
Well, we're in sync. As you said earlier, I just had taught a class this morning about the wood element.
Oh my gosh.
I talked about
love it.
Growth. I talked about feeling stuck and moving forward and being adaptable and to lean. The students, I asked them, invited them to lean into that tension, that tightness, and to be an observer with that. So exactly what you're saying. So this shows we're on the same.
I love that. I'm getting goosebumps, right? I'm getting goosebumps. So you're saying lean into the tightness. So guess what? The wood element, when there's a lot of wood, so we're doing a lot of things and we're not flexible, right? We're rigid. So what happens when we're rigid? What happens to the body? We get tight.
Yeah.
The connective tissue. So the wood element really corresponds to the connective tissue. And we get really stiff. So we get up in the morning and we feel that tightness, but that's also part of that spring energy. We're growing and we're moving and we're trying to work through that tension as well. So it's funny you say that. That's very synchronistic. I love that.
Right.
But there's also, we also work with the liver and the gallbladder. Those are the pairs. So think about like a partner organs.
Yeah.
Right. So we need to really take care of those organs. And we could do that by really being mindful of what we eat and detoxing and nourishing our body through foods. Right.
Right.
And also eating what's appropriate now, what's growing now. And I don't know about you, but I love vegetables. And when spring onions are springing and the greens start to grow, I just love that and I embrace that. And I feel so much better when I eat with the season.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And
So,
that
yeah.
liver and gallbladder, you think of that anger, right?
Yes.
Anger and assertion. So things when you're feeling angry is a great way to bring in the traditional Chinese medicine. These were techniques I was doing way before I even learned about it, even on my children, massaging the feet, adding that compression, that tension to you. So yeah, so beautiful techniques to help you when you have that anger and you're like, you don't know what to do with
Yes.
it.
Yeah, because what that means is there's a lot of stagnant qi in those organs,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so we're not processing that anger. We're not seeing clearly either.
Yeah, yeah,
And that liver corresponds to the eyes.
yeah.
So really be mindful of what you're eating because the liver needs to process that. If it can't process it, it's sluggish. And we just feel like, I don't know, I feel like a big blob. So,
Yeah, yeah.
and then, like you said, you get that anger and that frustration. That also corresponds to like what you're doing with people. Like if you're not taking care of yourself and you're worried about everyone else, after a while, you're going to feel a little resentful.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So taking care of ourselves is really important. And I'm all for having a Reiki tune-up. I think this is a great time. What do you think? Talking about Reiki, it's a
Of
great time to have a
course.
tune-up.
Have a tune up. And before we came on, I was sharing some of the things in my life, as we are people of service. We're helping others through yoga, energy work, and there comes times in our lives where one thing after another starts to happen, and we have to take our own advice. We have to go get that tune up and kind of fill our cup up as well. And what a beautiful time as a reminder in spring, right? As we come out of winter, hibernation, right? New growth. This is a time to restart. And that was what I was saying this morning in my class, that one of the best advices, prior to this, I was an elementary school teacher at heart. And it was always the best advice: stop and redirect. That doesn't mean you're stopping forever or quitting, but you're stopping and realizing, okay, this isn't working. How can I shift and redirect? So it's okay as the days and weeks go by that if it's not working, that you need to shift. Maybe you need a little bit of an energetic tune-up. Maybe you need to try to meditate or journal or do something to fill up that energetic reservoir within you.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And, as you're talking, I'm thinking about myself. And sometimes coming out of winter, we're used to like just hanging out and being more inside. And sometimes I feel like I'm in this bubble being inside my house.
Mm-hmm.
And now that it's getting really nice out, it's really
Mm-hmm.
nice to go outside and just connect with the wood element and see the buds on the trees.
Yeah.
Because the next thing you know, they're in full bloom. You miss the process.
Yeah. Right.
And it's just like our process when we're going through something where we're planting seeds of new growth.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always about the end game.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, so you're talking to me before about, finding a new place and
Mm-hmm.
finding a new space. And,
Yeah.
You want that space, but it's also nice to check this place out and see if it works and, explore all these opportunities and enjoy every moment,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
know?
Well,
Yeah.
it's as you look at nature, I'm here in El Paso, so there's more shrubs than trees. But in Western
Okay.
Pennsylvania, in
Shrubs
West,
is wood.
right? In Pennsylvania, I lived in Western Pennsylvania, and you have such a beautiful variety of trees. And as you observe, as winter comes, the leaves fall, and it is a bare tree. The sky is gray. You see all the snow on the grass. And as the season change, there are these trees bloom back, magnificent green colors, that green grass that had like feet of snow on it,
Right.
is now growing back beautiful. It's this reminder that even if you have to let go of something, even if you have to just shed yourself, that there is new growth to be found. And that's that hope in that. And so I had a week of kind of really having to let go of things because I had a certain idea of how things were supposed to look for me. But the universe was like, no, ma'am, we have other plans for you. But it's with the confidence by letting it go that God, universe, has something greater for me in that. So even though it was hard to kind of let a space go or let this idea go, that I have to have that confidence and faith that everything's going to be okay and I will be directed into the right space and the right place for myself.
Yes. So I hope everyone rewinds this and listens to Tracy again, because that's really super important, because
Yeah.
sometimes attachment to
Mm-hmm.
things really don't serve us in our highest interest.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I get it. You want a certain outcome to happen, or you like a certain thing, and you don't want that to change, but change happens. And that's what the whole thing about the seasons. And we need to embrace the change. I mean, think about ourselves, like Tracy, you and I, but we're not the same people we were a month ago.
Sure.
Or 6 months ago. So, this time of year, if I've encouraging my students, a lot of them are retired, or they're just, doing their thing. It's never too late to start something new and to reinvent yourself. I'm all about reinvention.
Yeah.
If there's something, a project, if there's like a new profession, something that sparks that fire, just that, think about a match and you're lighting it, a piece of wood, and then it starts to, light up and ignite, do that, embrace that. It's never too late to do that. And I think this is a great time of year to embrace that energy.
Right. And don't worry about the age. I was scrolling on Instagram, and there is a teacher, I believe she's in her 60s, and she was bringing the question up of about, older teachers, like it was some kind of rare thing. And I was thinking about it. It's like, wow, my teachers are either in my age range or even a little older. So I didn't even think of that as a problem in the industry, that someone may choose someone in their 20s versus a teacher in their 50s. Right.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
And she brought that up, and I thought, and then she had said, I'm 65 and I'm out here teaching, and looking at her, I would never have even connected the age with her.
Right.
I resonated with her energy, how she spoke, what she offered. And that wasn't even a factor. But then I guess when you think about it, someone may have that in their mind of thinking, well, I can't do yoga because I'm this age.
Right.
When I took my yoga training, there was someone who was 70 in our class. And it wasn't even a thought that she shouldn't be there. I mean, she was getting into poses that some of the 20-year-olds couldn't get in.
Yeah.
So
I think that's awesome. I mean, life is not over because you're at a certain age. There's always something out there. Just find what really ignites your passion, and to do that. So I love that. I love that conversation. I mean, I was 55 when I became a yoga teacher, and I practiced for a long time, and that was several years ago, and I love reinventing myself and doing new things, and that's what life is all about. I love that. Let's talk a little bit about how we can take care of ourselves during this time of year. I think we talked about a little bit of a Reiki tune-up. I want to introduce or talk about another topic I'm passionate about, or a movement practice besides yoga, and that's Qigong. So a lot of people always say, I don't know what that is. Well, it's people see people practicing Tai Chi. People know Tai Chi, but actually Qigong is the umbrella from which Tai Chi and martial arts comes from. So it's gentle, fluid movement. And it really works a lot with the elements like the wood, or the organs like the wood and the gallbladder. So inviting a gentle practice like that is wonderful. If your body or if your mind thinks you can't practice something like yoga, Qigong is a great way to cultivate energy and to work through unblocking some of that energy in the body. So I wanted to talk about that because I know how much it's helped me. I want to share a quick story, if that's okay. During one of my trainings, my last training, I was working with the elements. It was an elemental Qigong training. So the elements are water, wood, which we're talking about, and then fire, and then metal and earth. So one of the things I wanted to do was stop drinking alcohol. So during my practice, I set a really strong intention that that's what I wanted to do. And with the yoga and the movement, I would unblock energy within my body and then create that intention and use that. And eventually, along with Reiki, actually, as self Reiki, I was able to eliminate that from my life. Because I felt it no longer served a purpose for me, working with energy. So that was pretty powerful, I think, for me. Yeah. So that was letting go of something no longer serving me. So I used Qigong for that. So I just wanted to share that because if anybody's curious about Qigong, look it up. It's becoming more popular here in the United States. So I'm on a mission just like I've been on a mission to make more people aware of Reiki, just like you, Tracy, right? I think Qigong is also a great practice. Yeah.
Very good. And if people want to go a little deeper into finding your story, you have written an article, correct?
For the Reiki News. Yes, about this particular topic. And I also wrote an article, actually contributed a story to a book, Life-Changing Qigong, where I share a little bit more about my story in depth. So that was also nice for me to share. I love that.
Beautiful.
Yeah, thanks.
But the end of the day is you did the work. You're trying things. You're finding that just right. Whether it is Reiki, whether it is yoga, meditation, it can go on, and it may not be your thing, but at least you're trying it and exploring those options. And again, with that wood element, you're leaning into the tightness, you're leaning into the tension, and that could be even sitting in meditation. I mean, it took me I was talking about pranayama, that in the beginning I had a challenging time with the breath, controlling the breath. I was that fire energy that kept on going. And for me to sit and, okay, now breathe, count to 4, hold it. That was, you wouldn't think that breathing, hello, you've been doing this since day one, right?
Yep. Yeah. And I know you're that fire energy because you're an Aries. So you have double fire energy. Yeah. So, there's an element right there. You've got that fire element, right? So you have that always burning, and we talk about that. But if it's too much, things can get out of hand.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you have no fire at all within your body, your energy is not moving. Things are not, the blood's not going to the liver, or the heart's not pumping as efficiently. So, we need to create that perfect container of whatever practice is for you,
right.
So that you can grow and allow and experience life in this harmonious balance.
Right. And what I told my students this morning, Tony Bennett, the singer, had said, if you live long enough, life will teach you how to live. So this is just something that you can unfold. You learn something new about yourself. Like, okay, this is interesting. This is new. This is a new pain, right? This is a new sensation.
Yeah. That it's great you mentioned that, because I know you do this too, but when you teach yoga, or when I teach yoga, I always tell people, tune in to what is going on inside of you. Where are those sensations, especially when we're doing like longer held poses? What are you feeling? And it's not just the physical. Sometimes it's like, what's the emotion? People that if I keep a person in dragon pose a long time, they start getting angry.
Of course
at me.
Yeah, I've had that too. And then they'll say, like, I don't like that one. And I said, that's the one your body needs the most.
Yeah.
Like shoelace, they hate that. You're like, oh my goodness. And explore that. Why are you feeling that way in that pose?
Yeah. Yeah. It's, you got to dive deep sometimes to get through that sludge and come up, through like the lotus flower, it's got to work through that before you can become more enlightened. Yeah, but that's a practice though. People are so distracted. Even during class, you have your iPhone or your iWatch, I should say, handy, and there's always someone who feels they need to be distracted, but I don't know, they're not experiencing the practice.
Sure.
Well. And that goes with any practice. That goes with whether or not you're laying on a table doing Reiki or self Reiki.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on mirrors in the classroom? So I tend to turn my students away from the mirrors.
Interesting.
So they don't go in there.
So I teach in both of the studios that I teach in person, there's mirrors in front. Okay.
Everywhere. Yeah.
So actually, I have never thought about turning them away from a mirror.
I turn them away. I've had that where students are like, I have mirrors in the classrooms I'm in, and they're like, why do you turn us away? I says, because I don't want you to look. And one of my students says, but I like watching myself when I do yoga. I says, then you're missing the point. I turn them away because I want them to go inward. And so, yeah.
Okay, that's really
That's my take on it.
I may have to try that and see what happens.
I just want them because they'll peek up, and I've done it too. I'm like, oh my goodness, and I'll say, look at my hair. Oh my goodness, look at my clothes. You know, so I'm saying I start judging. Wow, this mirror makes me look really good today, and then that loses the point. You know, like, can I take this one home?
Right. Or they look at other people.
That's what it was. They observe it, and that's when I tell them, listen, we're all women here, or we're all this here, but it's going to feel different in your body versus mine. And so go inward instead of kind of focusing too much on me or the mirror. Yeah. So I have them turn. Have their backs to it. Yeah.
So I think I'm going to try that, but I may not do a whole class. I'm going to just experiment.
Yeah.
And have people see what they're feeling. And I think that's a great analogy for life too. Like, just when you're doing something the same way all the time, try doing it a little differently.
Yeah. And what a great time in spring to start that. Say, you know what, let's just do a class. Let's just explore. We're going to go in. We're going to just close our eyes and not watch the mirror. And yeah.
And even with the habits or your day-to-day, look at your day-to-day stuff. What are you doing? All right. So I have a habit. I get up in the morning, I make my coffee, I sit down, look at my horoscope. Okay. Like same thing all the time. And it's like my little comfort thing, like my little blanket around me. And I'm like, all right, I got to change it up.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's challenge everyone out there to take a look at their day-to-day and let's make some changes. Let's let go of something that you're like, maybe it's a time waster.
All right.
And invite something new, maybe a walk, or maybe you're reading in the morning.
Yeah.
Or even something at night that's different, before going to bed.
Yeah.
I started doing a gratitude. I used to do this all the time. Think about things I'm grateful for, write them down. Now I just kind of lay there and I say it out loud or I whisper it. And I just feel better when I go to sleep at night. And, you set the tone and set the energy. It's all about energy.
Right. I mean, don't underestimate the journaling. I mean, I've met students that say, or people that says, I don't like journaling, but even if you could just draw, can you draw something? Can you just write a few words down? Can you write thank you on a page?
Right.
If you make that a consistent practice, it really is life-changing. I had taken a class and the teacher challenged us to keep every day, this gratitude journal. And there were some days that were so chaotic and I'm like, oh my goodness, I didn't write in it. I just put thank you. But my goodness, things started to shift and change in my life. And it almost, as I wrote things down, started coming true, like with certain things. And then I kind of played with the universe and got very specific about something like, today I will see a polka dot bear. And there would be a polka dot bear.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
So one of my favorite ones was I put down for someone to say I was smart. Okay. I was being playful and I went into work and I did something. It was under the tone of sarcasm, but it still was said, well, aren't we smart, Miss Tracy? I was like, I will take it. I didn't say what tone, right?
Wow, that's brilliant.
Yeah,
brilliant.
So let's have a little bit of fun with it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. Journaling is super important because you're actually, you're very intentional about it. And me too. I remember going through a rough patch and you have this mindset that things aren't great, but then you think about things. Even I would write if I had like a great sandwich. I was like, oh, I had the best sandwich today. And, you appreciate things a lot more. So beautiful. I think that's a great practice.
Beautiful.
Wonderful practice. So I just want to mention one last thing before, I don't know if we want to wrap things up soon. I know you'll maybe have more to say, but be patient with yourself. Change doesn't happen right away. When you plant new seeds, things don't grow right away. And sometimes those seeds don't grow. Maybe they're duds. So, be patient with the process and enjoy it. Enjoy every single day that we're here, and stop and look around and enjoy the spring, because it's a powerful energy that really can help us in a lot of ways, just grow spiritually in that respect.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that we need to do, we're doing this podcast-a-thon. And what is this about? It's asking podcasters to unite for an impact. So we're joining this movement with one episode, and we're bringing up about a cause that's important to our hearts here. So I'll start first. So mine is the Humane Society. We have one here in El Paso, and it's life savings for pets, and it's life-changing for people as well. People may not realize that there is, 1,895 shelters in 2024, and we have 1,784 homeless pets placed, and then 708 animals that are placed in foster homes here in El Paso, Texas. So if you are interested in an animal, they say don't shop, when you adopt, go to the shelters here. In El Paso here, they have 44,000 volunteer hours that are completed, and 3,000 community cats spayed and neutered throughout their program here. So this is a really good cause for animals. If you can't adopt, can you donate something? Can you drop off food, right? Toys? Can you volunteer your time? A unique program here in El Paso is you can go down and you can take the dog out for a day and spend a day with the dog. You can take them walking, you can take them to the pet store, you can kind of get them out. So it's a really great program. We have a lot of veterans here, retired individuals, and that could make an animal's day, coming in and just taking them for a walk and a ride in the car. I mean, what a beautiful thing to do.
Oh, I wish I lived nearby. I love that. I'm sure we have that around here somewhere too. So
beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
I love that.
So that's the cause that I believe in with animals. When my father passed, we had asked in lieu of flowers, donations were made to the Humane Society.
Great. Well, I'd like to mention the one I originally was going to mention. I also want to mention breast cancer awareness, also because I'm a survivor. So it's really important not just to donate, but to really take care of yourselves and find, times to go to the doctor and be aware of how you're feeling, and don't disregard that, because if you don't go to the doctor or you don't check yourself, you definitely, something may occur. Right?
Yeah.
So you really need to do that. And this I could also segue into this other organization that I'm very passionate about. And I did mention Qigong, and this is the National Qigong Association. And the National Qigong Association has been around for many years, promoting Qigong. Now, in the United States, Qigong is not really as well known as it is, let's say, in China. It's been around for thousands and thousands of years, and it really can help you stay balanced and healthy, maintain this vitality about you. It also is great for people who, like veterans. So they do support veterans. There's a lot of teachers in this environment, in this organization, that do work with veterans and have really helped them a lot. So it is a nonprofit organization, and it is committed to promoting the understanding of Qigong for present and future generations. So, just like yoga, nobody knew what yoga was 30 years ago. And, you couldn't find the yoga class, but it was in India for thousands of years.
Oh, yeah.
Qigong is something that is not just for old people, it's for anybody. And it really can help you stay healthy. And so this organization is really trying to do a lot to just promote the awareness, so that people are healthy within their minds and their body and their spirit.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. So, Rose, tell the listeners where they can find you.
All right. So my podcast is called Chat Off the Mat. You can find it anywhere where your favorite podcast listening platform. I'm also on YouTube under Rose Whippich Wellness, but if you search for Chat Off the Mat, and I have a website, I do Reiki distance and also teach Reiki. I do in-person right now yoga and Qigong classes, but open to connecting with me if you have any questions about any of the things that I offer. But yes, find me somewhere, and on your favorite platform for listening to podcasts, and I'd love for you to connect.
Beautiful.
Thank
All
you for
right.
having me, Tracy. I appreciate it.
Wonderful.
Also.
Always a joy, Rose. And thank you, my wonderful listeners. If you want to reach out, send a question in. So I often ask listeners and Reiki students to submit questions. You can catch me live Mondays and Fridays on YouTube, on Facebook. I've been doing a lot more lives lately. So lots of wonderful upcoming guests. You can reach out at www.readysetreiki.com. I'm Tracy Searight, and this has been Ready, Set, Reiki.